Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everybody to the April edition of the American Cannabis. I'm your host, Ellis Smith, and today we're going to be talking with Stephen McMorrow of Cannabis Clean. I'd like to give a shout out to our sponsor, Cannabis Tech, for allowing us to put this on today. And so our topic today is health, safety, and sanitation. Steve, thanks for getting on today. I'm glad to have you on. You and I have been good friends for, looking at over probably 3 years now, and have worked indirectly and directly on many different projects. And I just want to welcome you today. Thanks for coming in and getting on.
Yeah, I appreciate the invite and the ability to do this. So yeah, thanks again, man. I really appreciate it.
So, Stephen, you have moved from the East Coast many moons ago to pursue a career path in the cannabis space with a focus around the sanitation side of the industry. And I'd love to hear a little bit about, where did that thought process coming from, especially coming from not just the East Coast, but the Southeast, and, how did all this kind of evolve, and kind of give us a background of what brought you to the West, and since you started, where has this business taken you, and kind of what's the future looking like for you?
Yeah, it definitely feels like many moons ago. It's been about since 2014 since we kind of started along this path into the cannabis industry. And I originally come from Buffalo, New York, so stayed on the East Coast most of my life. I was in North Carolina prior to coming here, and that's where my family had moved. And what I was doing in North Carolina, and I started, kind of led me into this. And what I had started doing was odor removal in apartment complexes, used cars, things like that, and just trying to do some different things that were kind of tied into my family's junk removal business. So just kind of figuring some things out, playing with different products, and just trying to offer some services. And I myself, if you look on my bio on my website or something, I'm epileptic. So I had started to hear in the news about these kids being treated for their epilepsy with cannabis. And that, of course, struck a chord. Side note, I don't treat my epilepsy with cannabis now, but because to me, a lot of the really extreme cases do. But I wanted to, in some way, get involved with that. But I didn't really grow up in the cannabis space. I didn't touch cannabis until I was almost 30 years old. So I just was kind of trying to look for an in. And so I decided to maybe focus on what I was doing at the time and maybe try to get it into the cannabis industry, which was odor removal. And with that came kind of cleaning. And so that's where the idea kind of evolved from, was, okay, I'm doing odor removal, I'm kind of doing cleaning in these areas. In the cannabis industry, they need a clean space, and I'm sure they're dealing with odor. So that started me along the cannabis path. And so I started to try to put together a product to sell to growers which was a chlorine dioxide product with an antimicrobial application in one, and tried to market that to the industry. And we came out to a couple cannabis cups, feeling it out, getting feedback from growers and people in the industry. And actually what we found out was people just asking, hey, can you do this for us? I don't want to do this. Most people don't like to clean. And so that's where the conversation started to go. We started to think more and more, okay, maybe we could become a service to these growers and become a value add-on that way. So lo and behold, about a year after we started, we moved to Denver in end of June 2015. And that's when we started to put together the business of servicing, cleaning. We really started with antimicrobial applications to kind of put on the surfaces of walls so that mold and mildew wouldn't grow. cross-contamination would be cut down. If somebody was sick, they would touch a surface that had been treated and nothing would live on there. So that type of thing. But we came into a market that was already kind of happening, so we would have to go backwards to clean your grow and then apply this antimicrobial. So from there, people said, can you clean our grow? Just literally, after we pull down a harvest, you clean the tables, scrub the floors, wipe down the tables, the whole thing. And we said, yeah, absolutely, we can do that. We got the tools, we got the know-how, we can do that. It's cleaning. And so that's where we've kind of been for the last I'd say year and a half, is really being that full service with a focus in disinfection and sanitizing within the grow room, and just trying to be a resource for people when it comes to cleaning. And that's kind of gotten some legs, and we've been doing business with that for a little while now. And with that, we team up with people, and now we're focusing on really training the growers to do that themselves and get the know-how and knowledge and tools to be able to perform and make sure their places are clean and sanitized. And that's it. That's kind of been our little journey here so far into the industry.
Okay. And so that's kind of one of my next questions was, do you offer like SOPs besides you just offering that service? I know you're Colorado-based, and I don't think you're in every single market, but I know I've got customers and clients all over the U.S., North America, Canada, and even other parts of the world now that are opening up. Do you offer the SOPs and give them an opportunity to be able to do these things remotely, but still giving them the proper guidance and being that resource and reference as needed?
100%. And that's exactly what we've turned to, is becoming that resource, offering those things. We team up with people in the industry that are able to produce those SOPs. We produce SOPs for people for their entire grow. We can do safety programs within, and we can do that remotely and wherever, especially for new grows, to kind of lay out the blueprint for what they need going forward. So yeah, that's a big thing that we actually wanted to do, and we think is more valuable than just kind of coming in and cleaning, is that making sure you guys have the right SOPs to be clean and then stay clean.
I like it. Let's dive in here a little deeper. I know, and you used to rent space from me and work out of my office here, and you would show me some of the technology you're working on, and you come and show us fingerprints on things and really show us how dirty and how contaminated surfaces and spaces are that we are constantly surrounded by. And so I want to really lead into, as we look at your presentation here and how we have it outlined, this first component, hazards in the industry. I want to kind of touch on this piece, let you kind of explore this a little more. But I've been through so many different grows and seen so many different things going on, from a very good operation to very poor. And we see all different aspects of it in the space. And so I'd love to just kind of dive in the hazard of the industry part and really just show people what's happening. Maybe they can understand and have some reference and some references of same experiences as well that we're going to mention here. And so let's dive in here to the hazards in the industry.
Yeah, hazards in the industry. So what we've seen, because hazards in the industry can be a very broad term. People can talk about pesticides, people can, residues and harmful pesticides and things. And what we've really zoned in on is three main topics are the cleaning, the safety, and the health in the industry. And what we've seen, and I think the presentation might be up there, is grows like that, where we can walk in and we see in the corners and on the walls and table legs and things like that, apparent, mold. I mean, you're growing in a space that is, high humidity. It doesn't always get properly cleaned as well. These are retrofitted buildings. So the microbial contaminants within these grows are, off the charts. They can be. I mean, we've gone into places, and they are really doing a great job. I mean, they really are very attentive. I've seen places that are doing it right, and they've they've made a conscious effort to kind of go above and beyond. But just like in any industry, there's also ones that try to cut corners, and because they're strapped for cash and they're just trying to get by. And so we see it on both ends. But the microbial issues are kind of one that we kind of really look for, just because of how harmful they can be to the end user. That if, well, the end user as well as the people working in there, or the employees need to really be thought of when it comes to safety as well as sanitation. So, and that'll go into the safety and health part of it, but the microbial contaminants can be passed on to somebody who may be using this stuff for treatment while or to help with while they're going through chemotherapy and they have a compromised immune system. So therefore, we try to look for these things really carefully and their appearance. So you get a lot of mold and things like that in the corners of their grows or walls and tables that can be passed on to plants. So that's a big hazard that we see, and that was the big red flag that we kind of started to go in there and look for solutions to provide in a couple different ways. Another one of them is the misuse of chemicals in the industry. So, we'll be
That's a big one.
Through a
That's a real big one that I see.
Yeah. Well, it is. It's a huge one, actually. And somebody, we've seen workers carting around chemicals with no tops on it, just kind of on a cart, walking around. There's no top on the bucket, which you should have. We ask them, hey, what are you guys cleaning with? And they say, some cleaning chemicals that really they shouldn't be cleaning with, whether it be bleach or something like that. So there's a misuse of that, and that leads right into, improper training and process when it comes to cleaning. People can go on and on in this industry about the best way to grow, the best, how to get the best THC and these dry gums and all this, go on and on. But when you talk about cleaning, it's kind of shrugged off. Like, oh, yeah, we just kind of throw some, I don't know, just some regular degreaser on the floor or a bleach or something like that, or just some hydrogen peroxide. It's an afterthought.
And that's exactly right. Like, it's not taken as serious. It's not taken as serious, and as you see in other industries. So like meat packing plants and food processing plants, where you got these folks who are very skilled at creating a great end product, but to see that the same care and level of cleanliness goes into making sure that the place is sanitized properly, you just don't see it here. And that's, I think, the big disconnect is you've got these these self-proclaimed master growers who are experts at this and that, but they're neglecting a major important component that, to me, is bringing to light as we're already forced to doing these things under the Health Canadian model, where you have the same governing body like our FDA would be here in the U.S. And so this is coming here soon, and we need to start to hone our toolbox, get rid of our bad habits, and start getting in the habit of doing things that eventually we will have to answer to a governing body like an FDA, and really stand behind traditional practices in manufacturing. And so this is the big gap that I see for sure, Stephen. And there needs to be more awareness and people to be more in tune to this side. The health and safety side, I see people using H2O2. If you're familiar with that, it's a super strong strength of peroxide that will burn your hands and skin like you've never believed. And I've seen so many people do this so many times that it's just toxic and dangerous in there. You're right, there is no training. No one has, from the top down, took the time to school their employees, let them know the hazards, because I see this happening. There's no place to go and actually, have a clean, have a sink to actually wash your eyes out in, or to have an eye washing station. All these proper things are supposed to be in use. Not all of them are always there or set up properly, and so it's a big issue that just needs to be addressed and looked at so much more.
Oh, absolutely, and that's where we're trying to be for people is with Cannabis Clean is really being a resource for the industry to kind of bring this industry up to a level of sanitation, cleanliness, and awareness when it comes to all these things. We go into a lot of these places and we start pointing out things that people should be aware of, and I get it that people kind of get defensive because you're in there. I attribute it to going into a kitchen and telling the cook that his kitchen is dirty. You know, he's not going to be too happy you're there doing that. So I understand that, but to look at the greater good and to be proactive and to prevent these things is going to make it's better as a whole for not just your business but the cannabis industry, because whether you like it, I mean, everybody's excited about the cannabis industry. We're all excited to be in it. I think a lot of the world is looking, especially at Denver too, and in Colorado. People are looking at us and saying, okay, how's this really going to play out? And so we need to be overly compliant. We need to have, safety measures compliant with every other industry, because it's not, we kind of take it as if it is no different than any other industry. You talk about, restaurants and hospitals and things that they have these safety protocols. Yeah. So let's do what they do in the pharmaceutical industry. Let's do what they do, or they have things in other states, regulate cannabis like alcohol. Okay. Go to a brewery and see what they do for cleaning. They are spotless. They sanitize the big drums where they're brewing and everything. I mean, they are. As you probably know, Colorado has no shortage of breweries, and so you're able to see it. Yeah, they have to be, but they would probably do it regardless, because you can't. It just makes sense, and it's tough in the cannabis industry. I get it, because there's changing regulations. They have to be compliant on a lot of different levels, but that's just the growing pains of it. And that's where we want to step in and say, hey, let us help you out. I'm not here to point fingers and say, you guys are terrible, you guys are blaming. No. Just, hey, how can we be of service? How can we be of help? And so when we can help with those hazards in the industry. We talked about the cleaning, the safety. We can. People need safety programs created. They need to be ready for OSHA coming in and going through some stuff.
Coming.
They're coming, and like we say, their violations start at over $12,000 and could go upwards of over $150,000 per violation. So,
there's a lot of violations being done.
Sure. Oh yeah, it's almost scary a lot of times, and so we have a window to get ready as an industry, and so I think it's now or never. You have to, because all these regulations and things are coming, whether you like it or not. People talk about big pharma is going to come, and the big industries and big tobacco is going to come, and alcohol. Yeah, they're going to come, and they got the money to start these places like say you got pharmaceutical grade cleaning, facilities, and they're going to do that. And so get ready, because it has to be done. I mean, we want it to be like every other industry when it comes to being available for people, and that starts with treating it like every other industry. So
we're getting there.
Yeah.
I tell you, with all the new markets coming on.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Our experience working in the Health Canada model has really prepared us so that when we build and design and put facilities together here in the lower 48 here, that we are planning and preparing and putting in processes and procedures that would be able to pass any sniff test from the FDA, and really, just start these good habits now. We have to, you walk through a lot of facilities, specifically a lot of the older markets like Colorado and New Mexico and Arizona, where they were coming out of their basements and building these warehouses with not necessarily the best understanding of how to do it properly, and so you just see so many different hazards. Luckily, our building departments now are stepping in, and code is now really being met, and they're holding people accountable. One, just to make sure that those hazards are limited, but still we still don't have that governing body coming in. We don't have OSHA looking over our shoulders and really putting the screws to you and holding you accountable.
Right.
And so as an owner and operator, it's very important to be aware of all of the different hazards and what can be a huge liability for you. And I can just give a few examples where, I'm taking over a facility here in Denver right now. It's like a bar rescue type scenario, and the owner wasn't fully understanding of how to even, prepare his staff for what understanding needs to happen when pesticides are being sprayed in the facility, and who needs to be spraying them, and then how they need to be contained. And just these simple things, and just having a lot of you know, physical hazards that are in the way that, you know, or can cause injury and can, you know, once again, it could be a big infraction if someone were to come in there and hold them accountable for this. And so,
absolutely, and it's the things that it's the I don't, you know what I don't know kind of thing with some of it. And you talk about that they don't understand it sometimes. They just, it's not there. The information's not there because they just took what they were doing in the basement and they kind of multiplied it 5 times, and then they got some money behind them to do it. So, you know, certain things like what I've seen is, you know, proper protection equipment to really say somebody's going in to spray pesticides, right? And I've seen this a lot of times. Somebody's going in to spray pesticides and they get donned in Tyvek suits and they got gloves and then masks, but they have a beard. You cannot properly, by regulations, wear a mask,
a respirator,
properly. A respirator if you have a beard. So, you know, in different places like mold remediation and things, if somebody's doing mold remediation, they cannot have a beard because they can't properly don a respirator.
Right.
And so it's things like that that maybe somebody who doesn't have a beard can maybe do that spraying in it. So there's certain things like that. Yeah, it's just kind of making sure that they know these types of things, and it's getting there. But you know, we see some of the missteps, but we're trying to help people along and guide them. But
I can tell you, I've been at this working in a regulated market since 2010 here in Colorado, and many markets outside of this. Sanitation and cleaning has never been a focus on any of the projects I've ever worked on, except for working in the Health Canada model, and that's where I kind of changed my tune after about the last 4 years ago and really implemented.
They know what they're doing.
You bet. And so we implemented these things here, and so I'm an old dog still trying to learn new tricks. This is why I'm super excited to see what you're doing, especially now that I know you have teamed up with someone to come out with kind of a training and a safety program that really, you know, can be an accredited course, give people understanding of just, you know, an awareness of what to look for, how to communicate problems and issues within a facility. So I'd love to hear more about kind of this program and course that you've kind of put together.
Yeah, so we're putting together, we've teamed up with somebody from Cultivated Solutions Consulting. He has the Cannabis Occupational Safety and Health Program. So that's one of the things we offer. And he kind of goes through, and I think you might be able to see this slide now, different things in the industry. And it's a 6-hour occupational safety and health training and certification, which, of course, 6 hours, people are like, oh, geez, I don't know if I could do that. But, again, in other industries, safety program and safety training, I mean, they'll go for days. This 6 hours is nothing. People will go for 30-hour training courses and things. So to have somebody on a team to do 6 hours, a management team to come back and be able to oversee things is very valuable, and it's not that much. We do it right now. We're doing it on Saturdays from like 10 to 4 or 10 to 5.
6 hours?
You know, we do some breaks and things. Yeah, so it's a 6-hour program. They get a certification. It's good for a year, and it's good to come back every year because of how much things are changing, and everybody knows. But, you know, it goes through things like management and employee responsibilities when it comes to the safety and health program. And this whole thing is really garnered toward people getting ready for OSHA and coming in and preventing the violation. So that's how valuable this can be. They do that, hazard identification and assessment. So, you know, what are things to look out for when you're going through your facility? You know, we can do it. People can bring us in, and we kind of go through just assessment of your facility and just say, hey, these are things you guys should look out for. This is what we can provide. But it's looking at hazards. And so we can teach your team, or you guys can bring us in. And then also how to prevent those, how to deal with them, how to get rid of them, and then also how to prevent them. And that leads right into proactive steps across the board when it comes to safety and health. You know, oh, your team member has to go up on a lift. You better be locked in with a safety harness. You know, things like that. If you got a tiered grow like you guys, or a leveled grow like you guys have, And if they're up on a lift or ladder or something like that, the safety has got to be number one. So these proactive steps to, it's a lot cheaper to buy a safety harness than it is to pay out for workman's comp. I'll tell you that right now. So those proactive steps, and then, big time. And then just the ongoing training that we can provide, that they can provide then for their team members within the facility. So that's something we can provide to people. We also do a health, safety, and sanitation course, which is more of it's a general overview for workers in the cannabis industry. It's like 3 hours. We do simple things like what's the difference between disinfection and sanitizing? How to properly clean. What are some tools to properly clean? What are the most effective tools? And some options. So we go through some chemicals. Okay, why should you use this? Why shouldn't you use that? And kind of teach people some good practices. But it's a good general overview for really anybody in the industry to have. Like I said, it's inexpensive. It's a couple hours. We really kind of put it out there as a learning tool for people that anybody could take. So those are really what we're leading with. We can also do, my partner does pesticide handling certificates, which people actually, unless they're not going into any area other than maybe I think a trim area or like the front office, they have to be certified every year. And if they don't, they can get fined. So that's something that, again, it's like an hour, I think it's an hour and a half class or 2 hours that a guy can do. And every year people need to have it. If you're working in the ag community, the agriculture industry in Colorado, this needs to be done every year. Not a lot of people know it, and I'm sure they're not really aware of it. So we can also provide that too. And then,
courses offered here in Colorado only? Are you going outside the state to offer these, or have you seen people coming from out of state to do these? I know you guys are just getting going.
We've got people coming in from California to do these. We are able to go and offer full team training, really anywhere, and create safety programs and do whole team training on a regular basis for people. We're doing it on a regular basis here in Denver, right in Rhino District. So we're trying to do regular, maybe every other week per course, so it'll kind of be rotating, and therefore what it can be integrated with is like employee onboarding. Like if you bring some new employees in, maybe you say, hey, listen, I know this Saturday they're doing a course, I want to get you over there, and they can sign up for the course. And then you have somebody who's trained in safety and health procedures. So that's why we want to have it on a regular basis every week. But then can also do, hey, we'll come in and set up a shop in your break room or whatever and have it for your team to be able to do. So we try to offer it a couple different ways, but on a regular basis.
Okay. I think that's much needed, as big as an industry is here in Colorado, and then obviously outside of here, how big it is. You should have a great, generous pool to choose from, and I think just having the accessibility of, like you're saying, onboarding. We are doing bar rescues here in Colorado, and I'm looking to definitely get onboarding staff to immediately get through your program and just come in having a knowledge base and having this part of our training, just so they come in being aware of their surroundings and how to handle things and know how to communicate if things arise from a positive or negative aspect of it. And so, I think this is great.
100%. There's this is a no-lose situation to be more versed in safety and health. I mean, what do you got? A couple hours to kind of go through this stuff, and the advantages could be great for a person. To prevent injury, for the organization to prevent failures. So it just makes sense. So yeah.
I think it's a great resume builder. I think it's a way for people to get a better foot in the door. They come in having that on their resume, having a pesticide certification on their resume. They can come in and now, kind of lead the charge and even help create a program, safety program for the rest of their business if there's not one there, because they've been through your course, they see what it takes, and I think it's just a great knowledge base for any employer or even an owner to really just have everybody trained on this. It's been so overlooked.
Yeah.
And
well, it's actually the idea is, well, yeah, not the idea, but the idea of really offering it came from when I used to work in North Carolina. I used to work in the restaurant industry a lot. And if you go into a restaurant in Carolina, there's health grades like posted on the door. You get like an A, a B, a C type of health grades from the Department of Health. And if you're a manager, and I think they had it in New York State as well. A manager, if you took a course on health, like a health course, like maybe there's a couple different ones that they're called, but if you took one as a manager, you would automatically add points to the score of when the health department came in. So if they got a 90% on a score or an 85%, they would automatically maybe get a 95%. And it would kind of bump up that because they had somebody there who had taken the course and so had the knowledge to kind of fix these things or be proactive in them. So that's the kind of thinking we were headed with it.
Okay.
So at the very least get somebody in there with this kind of knowledge on a regular basis.
100%. All right, let's look at this. Let's look at the next topic here on stop failing with clean facility, and I want to just kind of point out some experiences that we've seen, and just this is a multi-pronged approach with the clean facility, and really it starts in ensuring you have a good environmental control system set up to mitigate temperature and humidity properly, but also too just making sure your building envelope is sealed properly. I'm currently doing a bar rescue on a place that has holes all in the walls. I'm finding bugs crawling right through the holes in the walls. I'm finding, they're using, cinder block walls that's very poor vapor barrier, and the condensation buildup is absurd. And what that leads to is actually molds growing on the walls that may not be on the plants, but it's creating a hazardous environment for the staff that are working in there, not to mention ruining the building that you're working on. And so there's a multi-pronged approach here. We just spent 2 days cleaning out empty pots, trash, crap in the back of a warehouse because the owners just want to let it all pile up. And you wonder why they had such an infestation of pests and molds and all of these different issues. Right. There's a multi-pronged approach here to keeping everything clean. If it doesn't belong in the grow facility, get it out of there. Trash, all that stuff's habitat for these things to be able to thrive and live, and you got to make sure that it starts with just cleanliness first and foremost, environmental control, and then really looking at your staff coming in, making sure that these folks are wearing hair nets, rubber gloves. I want to see these folks wearing pocketless scrubs if possible. Really taking into account, are they changing their shoes? Are they bringing in contamination from outside? All of these things bring to, once again, a dirtier, clean facility, and so. We kind of see it all.
Yeah. You've seen it all. I've seen it all, and a lot of that I couldn't have said better myself. Where we go in, we've seen it. A lot of these places, especially here, we see it in Colorado. There's a lot of like exposed brick and concrete block, which are very porous. So we tell people, okay, first of all, try to either cover that up, paint those. Get rid of that stuff. Try to mitigate any kind of threat outside there. Fill those holes. I've seen literally holes right to outside in a grow.
Oh yeah.
That are
I got bugs
you can see the light
in the
coming
holes.
in. I'm like, wow,
I was looking at them today. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I was like, well, that's not good. And so there's things like that. They have contaminated product in one area. And then they have people walking in and out of that area. And then they say, oh, no, it's all over our plants. Well, yeah, you had it in one area. You didn't take any precautions to contain it because you got to, remove those contaminated products, contain them, seal, if anybody goes in there, put on a Tyvek suit, gloves, like I said, hairnet, booties, step in a nice foot bath and disinfect it before you go in. And then when you come out, do not have somebody walking in there just in the regular clothes, going in one room that's contaminated, boom, they're in another room that's not contaminated, and then wondering why it's getting all over. I mean, there's so many factors. It'd be hard to kind of go into these retrofitted grows and narrow them down and say, okay, you'll never have a problem. But what you can do is mitigate it and say, here are some steps to take to really mitigate these things, because nothing can ever, be 100%. And that's where it's taking the right steps to clean, the facility. A lot of them are on these growth cycles, and they're like, we can't take everything down and clean the facility. It just can't happen. Okay, I understand that. But when you fail, or due to microbial contaminants, and there's yeast and mold and stuff like that on there, you're not going to have much of a choice for what you're going to do going forward. So I understand it's kind of a pain in the butt to do some of this stuff, but one of the first things, you got to clean the place. Yeah. Top to bottom, clean the place, and then, get it sanitized and then disinfect it. And this will remove a lot of the, but do it properly with the right tools and the right chemicals. I know a lot of people in this industry, which I've seen, they ask us, can I just use, just a lemon juice and or something that they want to clean, because they're like, we want to be very organic and pure. I understand that part of it, but there's sometimes when you need a heavy hitter. And that's why we use like the really safe products that don't leave any residue, that are, that are effective, but are also safe. Those are the two things you want to look for: safe and effective. And sometimes, just hitting it with those organic products just isn't going to cut it with some stuff. And so that, getting it clean, raising the cleanliness level up to the standard it needs to be at, and then keeping it that way. And that's when you can implement, antimicrobial technologies, whether it's coating. People see antimicrobial paints nowadays, different products that have the coating already in them. From the factory. You can also do ones that you can, apply on a surface, and it'll inhibit mold and mildew growth. But a lot of them too that are very, very powerful are some of the electric ones, and the air purifiers, the PCO technology that could be implemented into the grow and in the air ducts, that will scrub not only the air, because it's not good enough to clean just the air. You got to be able to clean the surfaces, because a lot of them are passive technology. So, hey, it's great. The air's coming through it. If you're blowing air through it, it'll clean that air. That's wonderful. But what about everything else where the air is not blowing it? So you want to make sure that you're putting out these radicals that clean the surfaces, and make sure that it's ongoing antimicrobial to prevent cross-contamination, prevent, and that's the, that theme's always going to come up: be proactive, prevent these things from happening after, again, you do that cleaning. So it's key to put these cleaning procedures and technology in there and take them really seriously.
Let's touch on
from there, then you'll stop failing.
Let's touch real quick on these PCOs. I'm not sure if our audience may know what a PCO is, and so this is a technology that we've been using. As we said, once again, it's a multi-pronged approach on how we're going to mitigate against, having things clean in surfaces. And so PCO, I believe it stands for photocatalytic oxidation. I believe the technology,
Correct.
And I'm going to talk at it from a very loose perspective, but I believe it just puts out a charged ion into the air, and any surface that it will hit can basically decontaminate any of the molds, mildews, and the things that can possibly be living on these surfaces, even on the plant leaf surfaces. And so we put this stuff on the walls and the ductwork, and really utilize this as one of the many prong approach to mitigating against molds and mildews, and just keeping clean surfaces throughout our space. And so if you would you can extrapolate on that a little bit more. You could probably talk a lot better about it than I can, but we use it in pretty much every grow that I work in. It's a non-negotiable to install the technology. I will give a shameless plug to Innovative Solutions and their ProGuard technology. That's what we work with. And then I know that you work with another technology as well in the group, and so we like what it can do, and there's other, PCO technology out there, but we highly recommend doing your research, seeing, which ones are going to work best for you, as they can be, a great piece to your toolbox in mitigating against these things.
Yeah, exactly. And that's it. It's a good tool in your toolbox. You want to have many tools in your toolbox. This is just another one of them. And so, photocatalytic oxidation, some of the technologies, one you mentioned, we have some that we like to work with. There's, an inferior and, superior products out there. But it's basically when you combine, UV light rays with like titanium oxide. And they create these hydroxyl radicals and these ions, and which, again, disinfect and kill microbials. So some of them, again, like I said, are passive. So the light coming through, or the light will be on, and the air coming through, it can kind of treat that air. But some of them, I've seen ones that they put the coating on surfaces, and then with the light, it activates everything. So some of those are really good. But yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, it's killing the bacteria. And that's what this technology does, and some of them are very good. And these things, again, none of the stuff we have and we recommend, this is not our stuff. It's not new. A lot of the PCO technology, some of the stuff is implemented a lot in casinos. It's implemented in pro sports, like changing rooms and stuff like that, because they got to combat against MRSA and staph, nursing homes, daycares. None of this stuff is new. I'm not plugging anything that I made up, and I'm just trying to plug a product. We're just taking what works in other industries, and we're saying this needs to be happening in the cannabis industry because it's going to prevent a lot of stuff. And so, PCO technology is just one of those.
And there's a lot of great white papers that a lot of these folks with the PCA technology have been doing now around cannabis and the tech and how it can work. And so do your homework, folks. Look out there and look and see what's available to you as you look to build and design these facilities, because this is one of the tools in your toolbox that we feel is necessary. As we said, there's multiple ones that go along with this, but this is one of the ones that I feel is very, very important. And it's always a non-negotiable in any build that I do. And it's important.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely one of the great tool in your toolbox that we can always recommend as well. If there's a couple technologies out there, that's one of them. We always recommend a couple different electrostatic sprayer technology. Hypochlorous acid is a good chemical to use, and we can, there's things like that can be produced on site. So it's just the right tools for the job are really what people need. And PCO technology is one of them that we love.
Let's go into this a little bit for a minute. As you guys have this machine that can hook up to your regular water, and it allows you the flexibility to make multiple different types of cleaning solutions, correct? Now, maybe talking a little off on this, but help me, get a little more clarity behind the tech and how important it is, because I'm looking at it for my projects. I just got exposed to it from you and your team, and I'm really excited about it. Just once again, as I'm an old dog learning new tricks, really trying to up my game, as I want to be not just the best grower, I want to be the best cleaner. I want to take just as much pride as I do in growing these plants as I do in my sanitation. And so tell me a little bit about this. Explain to the audience about this technology, how it can take regular water and make many different cleaning solutions and really be a kind of one-all solution to really help with this disinfecting and cleaning side.
Yeah, so and it's something we're excited about too, because a lot of times you go into these places and they say, okay, well, where are your cleaning products? And they might just be in a little cart, or they're all different, and it's maybe just some Clorox or something like that they have in there, some Lysol wipes. And I say, okay, listen, we got these ECA generators, and ECA is electrochemically activated water. And what this can do, and again, this is stuff that's being used in like large facilities throughout the U.S. and in other in other industries. But what it does is it is able to produce two products, a cleaner and degreaser and a sanitizer fungicide. So you hook it up to your water line, and it produces these things so that your team can just go up and say, hey, we need a cleaner. We fill it up. We fill up the bottle or fill up the mop bucket, or we need to sanitize and disinfect. You fill up the mop bucket from the other nozzle. So it's basically two nozzles. But the two products they're making, they take the salt molecules, and they're suspended in water, so it puts the water in salt molecules. They separate the ions, and then they create these two new products, sodium hydroxide and hypochlorous. And so we like it, again, because of how aware people want to be of what's being around their plants and in their facility. And so hypochlorous and everything is very effective, and it leaves no residue. So it doesn't leave anything around that's going to be harmful to the plants or the people and anything. Hypochlorous is, so basically it's water, a little salt, and then they run through this special electrolyzing process. And it's a naturally unstable chemical. So it actually wants to just do its job, which is kill bacteria, and then revert back to saline, which is salt water. And once it's used and dried, it just reverts to saline water, so it leaves no chemical residue. And that's why we like it, of how effective it is. And so there's a couple different ways of getting that. There's things that we offer that people can use in tablets. So they can just drop a tablet into a bottle and it creates this stuff. The machine you want to have on like a larger level, because then you can get the cleaner degreaser to really clean stuff, because it's a two-step. You got to clean and then you disinfect. So it's a two-step approach. And while you can get these little tablets that are great and they make hypochlorous, you still need to clean. And that's why these machines are really good. And I'll tell you, these machines can, depending on the facility, it'll get you down to cents on the gallon for your cleaning stuff. So, if you're a facility and you want to see what makes sense for your, return on investment, this stuff's a no-brainer. It really is when it comes to your cleaning products, and it narrows everything down into one unit that you just go and say, here's our cleaner, here's the degreaser, and then here's our sanitizing agent. And it's taking the guesswork out of it. That's why we push it. We say what's simple, what's effective, what's safe, and then that's what we try to bring to market. So a lot of the stuff what we use, not always the most inexpensive. It's not the people might look at it and say, wow, that's expensive for something, but it's the best. It's the safest. Well, I can tell you, yeah.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I said I could sell you a bottle of bleach if I wanted to, but I'm not going to because of what it is. So we only look for and provide what we believe and are able to stand behind with good conscience.
Sure. I mean, in these machines, when you look at the big picture, and they aren't that expensive when you look at the relative size of these cultivation facilities and the type of revenue coming out of these things. This thing is looked at in pennies in my eyes when you look at these companies that are doing $4 or $5 million a year out of these companies. And so when you look at
people are getting an ROI easily within a year.
Oh, yes, and for me, it reduces the liability. For me, you got to look at the liability perspective, and what are you willing to pay to have a peace of mind every day, knowing that you have the tools in place to keep you, in check and not have a lot of liability because of sanitation and cleaning and exposure to all of these other issues and problems that can arise from this. And so I think the peace of mind alone from the tech, along with just the ease of use. I mean, I can just roll up to it with a mop bucket or a spray bottle and fill it up, and I'm off and running. There's no mixing and worrying about all these things. Now, tell me this: is it toxic? If it gets on your hands or on your eyes, is it toxic? What's the deal with that?
No, hypochlorous actually they use in preemie babies to battle eczema, as well as wound care. So they spray it on wounds and things to kind of kill the bacteria in there and kind of help with, healing. So
So
it's
skin exposure it won't hurt you, or inhalation
no.
or eye exposure won't hurt you. And so now we look at bleach and we look at H2O2, the other options
Oh,
that most
get out of
people are
here, yeah.
turning to. Look at the
Hmm.
difference in how just toxic and dangerous. One, inhalation of those things are bad. Two, you get it on your skin.
Oh yeah.
We know what that can do to you. Three, you get it in your eyes. Man, you better be going to the emergency room immediately. And so
Yeah.
that's an
I mean,
interesting
people are
twist.
like, oh, are they going overboard? With it. I use bleach. I can get bleach and use it in my house. Well, first of all, you shouldn't. That should not be anywhere near your house. I wouldn't bring it in. There's a reason OSHA has actually banned the use of bleach in restaurants, schools, and hospitals because of all the hazards. So why wouldn't you do the same thing in your home? Why wouldn't you do the same thing in your grow? Bleach is really, it's a known contributor to water pollution. They have a byproduct of bleach and a lot of chlorine-based cleaning supplies too. I like chlorine dioxide. That's a different one. I mean, just throwing the word chlorine out there is people get a little frightened, but chlorine dioxide is another one of those that it kind of off grasses, doesn't leave any residue. It's a very great, ProCure is a really good product out there that we like, and we actually offer as well.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, as you should. I mean, it's a great product. I can't really knock their product too much. I do like it a lot, and it's actually what we're doing odor removal with. And actually hypochlorous is another one too that does great odor removal. But that's where we kind of got into the odor removal and sanitizing market back in North Carolina, was using a chlorine dioxide product. But yeah, one of the byproducts of bleach is dioxin, which researchers actually believe can contribute to like cancer, endocrine disorders, other serious health problems, including the ability to like mimic human hormones and cause low sperm count, testicular and breast cancer. These are things that they believe that bleach can. I mean, we've seen bleach everywhere for a long time, but researchers are saying, hey, this could be attributed to that. And that's why I tell people, if I see bleach in their home or they're using it anywhere, I say, stop using that. That's really bad. And also, people are like, oh, we'll use that for our mold. Well, a lot of times the mold you buy, like the bleach that you're buying, it's mostly water. So a lot of times it doesn't kill the mold. It actually feeds it and just makes it invisible because it bleaches the mold stain. So people need to, if they deal with mold, they got to kill it with a product, a mold killer, and then they can bleach the stain. That's the thing they usually use bleach for a lot of times, is they kill it with a different product and then they bleach the stain to make it white. So a lot of times people say, oh, we put mold on there. It's like, well, you're not really killing it. If anything, it can combine with the mold and cause serious byproducts, like acetylthymines that are known to cause cancer and things like that. So, yeah,
Lovely.
That's some of this stuff. Yeah, yeah, lovely is right. Lovely is right.
Well, I think I'm hoping. I hope we bring some awareness to kind of some of the things that we have personally experienced, and some of these our listeners can take this back to some of their work environments and understand that maybe they're doing a few things differently and could improve. And so how do we talk about this being proactive component here? We've got about 7 minutes left here. I want to see if we can kind of get through these last few slides and kind of wrap this up here. But let's kind of look and see how, being proactive. Let's tell our audience really, the importance behind this and how it can save you money in the long term, and really, with the right SOPs and the right proactive approach, you can really limit and mitigate and reduce liability issues and run a successful business. If you don't, you will definitely fall behind. That is for sure.
Exactly, and that's what we tell people is to be proactive, because if you're not proactive, to go backwards is going to cost you 10 times more. Because if you fail products, or you fail tests, you got to do away with those. You lost the man hours that it took to grow those. You lost all the product. You lost the cost of goods that it took to do that. So and then you got to do it anyway. So to be proactive, hire professional consultants with this stuff. There's us. There's probably other companies out there that help with it, but get some professional help with it. I mean, these owners hire professionals to grow. They hire why not do it when it comes to cleaning? And so that's one of the things that you can do with facility analysis and kind of go through, see where some of the pain points might be, see where there might be some hazards that aren't standing out, but a trained eye might be able to see, and then get the right training going for your staff, which is a big one. Again, get the right products, and then the training on those products is going to be key. Implement a safety program within your facility. So the standard operating procedures that you got to have for cleaning, you want to have for safety. So there's a couple different things to be proactive with this that you really want to take seriously. And that's where some professional consultants can come into play and be a resource for that ongoing through the future. That if there are any, because once you kind of, we've had customers where they bring us in, we do a facility analysis. We just do a walkthrough and say, okay, here are some problem areas, and then here's where we might be able to help you, where we could see these equipment, this chemical, these things can go in there, okay? Then we offer some of their employees training. We've also gone in and kind of trained them at their facility, but then we get them to kind of be versed on these protocols. And then we're just a resource going forward, that if any other issues come up, they can call us and say, hey, guys, I'm having this issue, or what do you think about this, or these regulations just came up. It's an ongoing resource for health, safety, and sanitation that you can go to. And that's just being proactive of, when I move to a new town, I want to find a mechanic. So I started asking people like, hey, what's a good honest mechanic? Because when I have a problem, I want to know who I can go to instead of going to some place I know I might get ripped off. So I want to have these resources I can go to for certain problems, and that's just what we want to become. And so it's getting ahead of these regulations that we might be able to provide. So, hey, we're seeing that OSHA's got these regulations. You guys might need to be ahead of this and, be aware of these things. And also with us, we're going to tell you what you need to hear instead of just maybe if your employee's going through, you may be a little hesitant to tell upper management or the owners what needs to be done for any number of reasons, but we'll just say, listen, this is what needs to happen, whether you like it or not. I mean, it is what it is. So it's getting ahead of those regulations and telling you guys what you need, and then it's just planning. I always refer to the 5 Ps of anything. Proper planning prevents poor performance. And that's in anything we do, and the cannabis industry is no different, and the safety and health part of it fits right in there. And it's gonna prevent a lot of pain down the road. So get the right equipment in there, get the right training, and the right protocols, and you're gonna save yourself a hell of a lot of headache down the road, and save a lot of money as well.
Which is what we're all here to do, is to make money and save money and reduce our liabilities. And
exactly.
I think this is great to have you on today. This is very eye-opening for me. I always learn more and more every time I speak to you about just the sanitation process. As I've been at this for 9 years, I feel pretty strongly about, we have good protocols and standards in place for our sanitation processes. When I talk to you, I feel like I'm starting back from zero, which I like. I love to be humbled. I like to understand how I can refine my processes and procedures, and I'm excited to see what you guys have done to come out with these new services, and we're looking to take definitely full advantage of them as a company ourselves, and just, excited to see that this is becoming more to the forefront of our industry and, becoming more serious, because the regulation will come, and we will be held accountable, and starting good habits now is going to be a lot easier than trying to pick up the pieces and, get up to speed here in the future, because it's going to be very challenging and can be very costly.
Yeah, absolutely. No, yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate the time.
Thanks for getting on today with us. I want to thank our audience for logging on today and listening. I'm Ellis Smith. Thanks Stephen McMorrow for having him on the show today with Cannabis Clean. And we'd like to thank our sponsor, Cannabis Tech. We will see you again next month. Have a great day. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.